Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. I trimmed the lower branches of the redwood tree last night in the dark. Not pitch dark, but dark. But anyway, it just looks so good. I had to come out and make sure it really did look okay. And it does. It looks great. So that's good. Yesterday we went to the city to a doctor's appointment, and I tried something. I didn't water yesterday at all. And I'm not afraid for my little plants that are in the ground, but for all the ones in pots I am. But also of course, when you're in the city, you just have to do some shopping, at least we do. And I got these pretty little pots. Aren't they pretty? And I'm going to go out in a little bit and see if I can tell if my little garden is going to survive, because I also want to go tomorrow to a family reunion, and it's going to take all day, so they're not going to get watered, but they will get watered good today. I'm hoping to do that for them before I leave, for sure. But what I want to do with this is, I told you that my friend Susie and my sister Kathy are coming to see the garden. Actually, we didn't get to go flower shopping, which was our main plan, but life just went right on and we missed that opportunity. But maybe next year. But anyway, we're still going to eat and have some time together. And so while they're here, I'm going to fix these little pots up, and they're going to have a flower I'll show you in a minute, or a plant, not a flower, but a plant, a beautiful plant in them, and they're going to be my gifts to them when they get here. So this is the little plant. Remember this purple passion plant? Look at it. It came all the way up to here. So I am going to cut some of this off and get some started for them if I can. I think I can. I've done it before for my girls. But I've also, these are not going to make it, Lacey, and I'm so sorry. I hate to have to tell her that for the second time, that these little roses I tried to start are not making it. I think this little redbud tree is maybe going to make it. So I don't know if she needs one of those. She did once before, and since she moved, she may not have one at her new house. But I'm just gonna have to wait. And my roses are young themselves, so they only have one main stalk. But when they put up another little stalk out away from the mother plant, I will definitely get some started for her. That's the plan. I'll leave these a while longer, but it's pretty evident that they're not going to build a root and then build a little plant from that root. These I actually got yesterday on the sale rack. They're going out. I'm hoping to have some white ones in the mix, so I have two little places in my back strawberry pot with the white impatiens that need to be replaced. They're just empty, or they will go empty. It's pretty evident that those little plants I have in them are not going to make it either, and quite sure it's from snails. But so far things are looking okay, so maybe they'll look okay when I come back from the reunion. But just look, these are new for this season, not new for the garden. This little plant has been here for many years, but this is a Texas star hibiscus, and it's blooming, and it makes me feel excited to see these bloom. I also have some new tree lily blooms in the garden today. These little pots still look fresh and good, so that's wonderful, as do these. I'm quite sure they'll be ready for a drink this evening, though. I had to throw away my little plant stand that I was using here. It had busted, and it's old, and it just wasn't going to be able to be put back together. So but I did get a new one, and now I have my pot back up on it. The little garden piece that I had in it, garden art piece, is still out of commission, and I don't know if I'll be able to get it fixed back, but I'm going to try with some of that foam filler at some point. It won't happen for a few days at least. Oh, I just noticed that I do have a scabiosa bloom. I wondered if any of this came back. They need to be divided, and I'm getting bad about dividing some of my plants, and this is one of them, and I love this little plant. I just need to get out here and get it done. Now what I need is, you know, an army full of gardeners to help me. That's what I need. Look, these little petunias, or not petunias, these are vinca or periwinkle, but they're looking good today, and I think they're really going to shine when those little strawberry fields come out a little bit more and make a bigger little red ball on top of them. It's looking good. The day that I got so down, I just about quit. I just had no heart to do anything. I did water, but I had no heart in it. I just did the bare necessity and begrudgingly did it and went inside. But God lifted me up that next day, the time that I put on the post that says, I love it. But this, I had these coming totally undone, off and on. I still don't know what I'm going to do about my, let me get this little butterfly on the zinnia for you, but about my watering situation. But so, as far as I know, I can't think of anything else I haven't already tried and it didn't work, so I'm going to try to keep doing this, at least for another, I don't know, until I can find out something else I can do, really. But I was able, the point was I was able to find some different hose menders, and I'm hoping that I can get this going again where I don't have to feel like, what's the point? It's not working anyway. There's another little thing that I've been dealing with. This is a gopher mound, and right beside it here, this is a mole tunnel. So I did get some more mole bait killer, so I'm hoping to get rid of those. Look at this little cluster of daylilies. Isn't that pretty? And the tall phlox is starting to bloom. Maybe I'll have lots of pretty tall phlox blooming when Kathy and Susie come. But right across from it is where I wanted to look and see how these fared. And you know, they're not bad. If they don't go down any more than this will come out of this easily, I think. Of course, it has a lot more of the day to go before I get out here and water, because, well, for one thing, I want to wait as late as I can, because it will be a long time in between waterings this time, and I just hope that they will make it. But this is looking promising, so I'm thinking that maybe they will, and maybe I won't have to be so worried about it. And you know, this is one of my favorites. I love it because it's outlined in a different color that really makes it pop, and I love it because it's ruffled on the edges. And I know my little castor bean has a long ways to go, but you can tell it's perked up. Even though it's still tiny, it has so perked up from when that mole tunnel had ran under it, but it didn't kill it. And now that I think I've gotten rid of the mole that was over here, or at least he moved away from over here, and I think this one has another chance. And I definitely wanted to take a look at all these plants underneath our weeping willow tree. It gives them shade, and they do like living here, but they need their water in these little pots, but they're looking good. They are. They're not all totally wilted down like I thought they might be. So I'm hoping I'll be able to leave them for a day without it interfering with them too terribly much. And there's one of those pretty little double day lilies. I was hoping I wouldn't miss this one. The last one that bloomed, I did miss getting it. You know, they only last a day, and they're pretty and fresh to begin with, but they're not so pretty and fresh after the the cooler water hits them when the sun is shining. It just doesn't mix well together. But I guess that's another thing. God knew that they wouldn't. Of course he knew, but he fixed it so that there's clouds and shade when it rains, so this doesn't happen in the way he's got it arranged for it to happen. But when I did it, they looked already looking or wilty looking, and so I'm grateful to get this little picture or clip on for you. And my little rose did not make it, but this corkscrew vine is just going and going and going and going. And it has a pretty little corkscrew bloom that I hope we get to see later on. And I wanted to check on these because I didn't want my Rex begonias to wilt down, but they haven't. They look fine. So I'm hoping that I feel better about it now. I feel better about getting to go somewhere because I think they are going to survive. But, you know, I knew today if they didn't, I would be out here even in the heat to give these a drink. But tomorrow, you know, I won't be around to do that. So it makes me feel better knowing that most likely they will survive it and it will be fine. So not only did these survive, they're looking great this morning. Look at that. You can even tell this little coleus down in the center of this little swan has taken a little leap of growth. And this little pot was looking good, although I was so sure this was going to take off and just do wondrously. And I thought this little coleus would grow up and just grow taller, but I think it may be a little smaller trailing, which is still beautiful. No real complaints here. But I would love to have something tall in this pot too, other than just the Dusty Miller, which you know I love, as well as this licorice plant that has that blue cast too. I think this is still a pretty pot, but I just think it would be a lot prettier if it had a tall thing in there with it. Of course, it has this little decor piece. I'm for decor pieces, you can probably tell. I love them. I think they not only make the garden more interesting, I think they make a pot more interesting when you can just add something else to it, like this little angel in this pot that I probably need to redo some when I get time, should that ever happen. I'm quite sure that you can't make time. Only God can make time. You can prioritize, you can rearrange things, you can do the best you can, and I think He expects us to do the best we can. But still, unless He does that for you, and there's very few and rare cases that He did make the day longer for some of the prophets and the people in the Bible, but I don't know if He's ever done that for us. Not to say He couldn't, because you know that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And I am going to turn on some water to let it go on the ground, the soaker hose water. I noticed a pretty dahlia back here in bloom too. I'll have to go closer where you can see it. But hopefully that will help the ground plants. And then I will come out this evening and try to get everything else that's in pots all watered down good. And then I'll go enjoy a day with my family, my daddy's family, and my Uncle Holder's family. This rose and honeysuckle that I clipped back is growing back. I nearly knew that it would. So it's good to keep it trimmed because otherwise it can so get out of hand. But look at this pretty little cluster of daylilies. And then this one is pretty, just that bright, pretty yellow with a coppery orange center. I haven't deadheaded this one, but it's just such a pretty color. I wanted to show you anyway. I don't know if you can hear that, but I've got one over here. One of my holes is in excess because it just keeps on. It won't be long till I'll have water running down here and then probably not running to any other place. So I do not have time to do that today, most likely. But at some point soon I want to get those fixed, and I did find some, I told you I did find some hose menders that I think will maybe work. I got a couple last time and they did work for me, didn't pop right loose again. So hopefully that will be a good thing, and I'll get some of that done, and hopefully I will just feel better about finding me a routine that I can do and handle and keep it done and not just get so overwhelmed. So I pulled this little plant out a little so you can see how big and tall and beautiful it is. So it is now back down to somewhat short, and I have two pretty little starts that I'm going to put in those pots I showed you earlier. So I have put these in rooting powder, and I will put them in these little pots, and then I firm the soil down around them good, of course, and I will water these down really well, and they will begin to build a root. The top part of them will wilt, it just will, but while it's wilting, that bottom part of it is going to be busy building its root. And hopefully they will be past the wilting stage and starting to perk their little selves right back up. There's no way you can miss that they are building a root once they wilt down, and then all of a sudden you look and you think, oh, it's starting to perk up. So hopefully that's what will happen, and these will be beautiful for my sister and my friend. So by 5:20 on the second evening, this is how they look. But still, I think that hopefully a little water will revive them. So I'm feeling better about going off and leaving them for a day and a half or more, 2 days. And I think maybe the ones in the dappled shade of the weeping willow fared even better, so hopefully it won't be a disaster to leave them for a bit. And I'm done with cocoa liners, at least enough that if this pot that I purchased will fit in this little metal or wire frame, this one's going to be the first to go. So it may not be perfect, but I like it better. I like it better because my plants, I believe, will have a better chance, even though this is not quite evenly in there. I'll have to see what I can do with that, but I don't have more time to spend with it today. And of course it didn't go all the way to the bottom, but I still think it looks okay, and I definitely think it looks like it's going to give my plants a better chance, because they were literally dying in these little pots. So maybe now they'll take off and go. We'll see. And I really want to do that to these two. I don't know when exactly. Maybe soon, maybe not so soon, but we'll just see. I got 2 more of those kinds of pots, but I'm not sure now that that's the ones I really want. But I still like it better than the cocoa liners, because they just dilapidate too quickly for me. I can't keep up with them. So the day of my little trip to our family reunion, and today it was like 98 and 100 to 101. So this is what my little plants looked like when I watered them today. Not all. Some of them are still standing to attention, but a lot of them are just wilted down and trying to give up. But I'm hoping that a good water, which I did give them, will revive them. We'll find out in the morning. But for right now, I'm thinking that my idea that I should probably not leave the garden at all in the summertime was probably the right decision. All the little seeds I planted just wilted down. Some of them even crisped up. So that's not good. But like I said, I'm still hoping that they will revive. I really hope they do. If you see this little cardinal, he's watching out for his mate, who has a nest in this crepe myrtle tree, which is also blooming today. Even my little geranium got all wilty. These little plants were in the shade, and they fared pretty well, thank goodness. Also, the ones under the weeping willow tree for the main part stayed looking pretty good. They were glad to get that drink though. More of these little lilies opened up, even as some of the other ones are closing up and giving up for this season, to be back next year. And this little crepe myrtle is also blooming. I love this little color and its name, peppermint lace, which just fits it so wonderfully. It's a slow grower, but so worth it. This little pot fared well, but this little pot was a little more in the sun and just couldn't take the heat without wilting down. These little pots and plants were wilted down, and they seem to have lifted their heads up a bit, so that's great. Hopefully it's an indication that those in the back will do the same. Most of them had wilted down, and I can see that the creeping Jenny in this pot still has not came back to life, so we'll see if it's able to. I hope so. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.